Hi everyone, this is Natasha and I want to share with you a True Blood mini that I made on Ustream on Sunday, and I did a little bit more today, adding some embellishments. It's not 100% completed only because I'm going to add a bead in between each of the pages on the binding side in order to give the depth on this side a little more, for it to be a little more equal, so it'll be a little wider here, because loosening the ribbons will just make the mini floppy versus functional. So this is, I used for the base of each of the pages, and I used exactly the same paper for all of the pages. It's Making Memories paper, and I started off with medium weight chipboard, and I cut it out with my, let's see, where is this way, with my Sizzix die. It's an album called Flourish. Oh my gosh, is that the name of it? I'll have all the details on my blog. There'll be a link below with all the products that I've used. So that's what I did. I first trimmed down the chipboard and attached the paper to the chipboard prior to cutting it, and I used Claudine Hummuth's matte medium to attach it. And because this paper is really heavyweight, I just added it to the chipboard itself, then laid the paper down and ran my brayer over it in order to adhere it, and then ran it through my Vagabond to cut it. Now, because of the depth of the chipboard and 2 layers of paper, because I put the paper on front and back, it did require 2 passes, so you just have to be careful and go slowly in order for the paper and the chipboard not to shift off of the cut, so you don't get a double cut, so it stays clean and crisp. See, this one I only put through once and it didn't quite cut through, so you see. So I saved this to give away as a, again in Russian it's called brak, like something that failed, but so the top page and the back page, they're both out of this clear acrylic, and the clear that I used is actually Stamper's Best clear storage sheets. They cut beautifully, and one page cut both of the front and back, and that I had to go through a couple of times as well through the Vagabond. The letters are the Immortal Love chipboard embellishment box, and I got this from scrapbook.com for $2.50. It's still available, I did check. And again, all of the products that I've used, if they're still available online wherever I purchase them, I'll include links to them directly on my blog post. So that's the first page, and I did leave it as is, and then the first page of the actual mini I left unembellished in order for this to just kind of sit on top of it. The only other thing that I did is I put a couple of splotches, and it's a stamp from Recollections called Splat. And I used this one and this little itty bitty one, using Memento Ladybug Red ink. It's this ink right here. It's just the perfect color for the bloody red. So it just randomly stamped over this beautiful paper from Making Memories. So it's newspaper print in like this distressed cream with a glittery damask stamped in various sizes and different directions on top of it. So the first inside page has a gatefold card. I may have shown this on a video separately. I had initially just made them as cards, but then I decided that I really love the paper, so I was going to make a mini for True Blood because I really love the show and I really enjoyed this paper. So I made this little gatefold card, and there's just a little bit of layering of paper on the inside. And this is Kids Craft Fun Craft Foam, and it's the glitter one. This particular one is self-adhesive, but in order to make this side not adhesive, all I did is, and you can use baking powder or whatever you have readily available, I took my embossing buddy, which is this little thing when you're doing dry wet embossing with Versamark and embossing powder, and I just ran it, like patted it down, and that's, you know, it's not one of my videos if the dogs don't speak up. So I just did that in order to prevent this side from sticking to the paper on this side, because I only wanted half of it adhered. And there's a black Wild Orchid Crafts 15mm rose on it. So that's that, and I can add a photograph in there. And then these are Sizzix pockets, and I'll show you one that I have that is, it's these pockets, and I have them throughout the album. Some of them are in craft and some of them are in this, my favorite, black textured cover stock, and then I just layered some of the designer paper on top of it. Then there's also this little Sizzix file folder number 3 die. Again, a little picture, a little comment. I'm thinking I'm going to end up using this by storing some of the photographs from this season's True Blood show, and maybe some of the my favorite or most memorable quotes from the characters. Like, I know that Lafayette's going to get an entire page because he's had some doozies this year. So, and there's a double pocket in here. There's a one layer is this layer is pocketed, and then there's an additional layer which I have another one of the stamps from that Splotch Recollections stamp set, and this one's doubled up, just twice the layer of craft paper, with a little piece of the glittery trim, which is also on the background on the edge there. So that's this one, and it does snuggle all the way in if I wanted it to. The other thing I wanted to point out, and I know I get a lot of questions, sorry about that, a lot of questions about this. My favorite eyelets to use are these 2-part eyelets. Let me see if I can zoom in enough for you to see. They finish both on the top, or front and back, cleanly without leaving any splicing. Because you know sometimes an eyelid can really splice when you attach it. Those do not. And again, I'll have a link to where they're available on my blog. I don't have them available for sale. I wish I could find them wholesale, but I just can't. So this is one of the little scrapalopes that I made in a presentation, I think it was quite some time ago. So because a lot of this album is black, cream, or craft with some red accents, it was easy for me to pull out all sorts of embellishments that I either already had or had already started. And then the only other thing that I have on this is there's these little red blings. They're actually clear little jewels, and I colored them up using Adirondack alcohol ink and cranberry. Just make sure you let them set up completely before trying to work with them. And then another one of these gatefold cards, it's just in the opposite combination. Instead of the red dress form, I have a black one with a red flower, and there's just a simple little interior. And again, if you notice, I use those splotch, like blood drops, all over the album just randomly. And then this was initially going to be the front cover. It's another card that I made. It's just a basic A2. Actually, this is a little smaller than A2. This is the Hobby Lobby Craft note cards, and I had made this, I want to say, almost 2 weeks ago. So that's maybe less. And then some gorgeous red poppies. Look at how brilliant red that is. And these tiny little glass bottles are from Dollar Tree. They're in the, I think they're in the nail polish area where the makeup is, and they come in a pack of 6, and they have some glitter. I think it's supposed to be intended to use on your nails, but I emptied it out, and all I did is add a little piece of this ribbon, this glitter black ribbon, inside, and then just glued the little cork on top of it. And there's a couple of blings, again more of these little red colored up blings, and then little teardrop. And this bitten is also from the Decades with a View chipboard stack, chipboard box, and there is a vampire one in there, which actually when I made this card I saved the vampire one for this album, but I ended up using this as one of the pages, and I just added a couple of mats in here with some bling in the corners, except this, because then it would double up in the height and it wasn't closing cleanly. So there you go. And there's another pocket on this side with a black and craft backed up to each other with a little piece of ribbon to use to pull it out, and some of the black and gold, black and red glitter ribbon. And these glitter ribbons are from scrapbook.com as well. These were $1 for 2 yards, as well as this wide one is also. And then this one, there's the vampire one that I did save. And these are the Tim Holtz Sizzix Alterations die. I think it's Heart and Wings, and it's just the right size. Again, this is the kids glitter fun foam. The red one is self-adhesive, and the black foam that you'll see in a minute is not. So the red one is just a little thicker, but I just loved all that glittering. There's really no way you could get this much coverage of when applying glitter to foam yourself. So if you want to save yourself a step, use glitter foam, and actually this doesn't really come off. And then the last page, I freehand cut this heart by essentially making a template by using a piece of printer paper, folding it in half, and then just doing that heart-shaped cut, and then unfolding it and placing it on top of the fun foam. And this is a self-adhesive one, which actually worked out nicely because in order to make it stronger, to add the eyelets, because I wanted to cut it down the center and then add the eyelets like a broken heart, is I added craft paper on the other side, which worked out really nicely because when I attempted, and for those of you who were on Ustream, on that Ustream you'll remember, the initial attempt to add eyelets on just the foam, they would just fall out no matter how well you crimped it. Adding the paper prevents the eyelets from falling out. And then I just again use the same ribbon to start off from the bottom and then lace it up and just tied it with a bow here. And that's a pocket, so it's just glued from here to here, so it's easy to tuck things in. And I made a little tag out of Google search of a True Blood bottle, and I just backed it on craft paper. Add another little blotch from the splotch set stamp, and just a little bit of glossy accents on the cap to make it look like it's metallic, so you could twist it open. And then the last page is blank, just like the first page, and then the back cover has another wings and heart. The heart is from this actual chipboard album die from Sizzix, and the wings are from the Tim Holtz Alterations one. So that's the True Blood mini that I put together. It was really fast to put together once the pages were layered. I would say overall it probably took 2.5, maybe 3 hours for everything, including the multiple Ustream classes or sessions. So if any of you are interested about any of the products that I used, or if you have any questions, please leave me a comment. Again, there'll be a link in the description to my blog post. They'll have close-up photographs. Oh, and then the very last thing, I almost forgot. I created a little True Blood bottle. Let me see if I could zoom in for you so you could see it. It has a little bit of the Adirondack ink in it. This has been glued on with glossy accents so the ink won't come out. And then all I did is I found a printable label, shrunk it down to fit nicely on this size bottle. It even has nutritional facts on it, which I find hysterical. And then the little eye hook is from a hardware store. It looked like this before I colored it up with the same Adirondack cranberry ink. So once I have the binding completed with the beads in between the pages, I'm going to add that to the binding. Oh, it'd be nice if I could zoom. There you go. So that's the only other thing that I did for this. So if you have any questions for me, please leave me a comment. Stop by my blog, and I'm going to attempt a experiment on this video. I would like to see how many shares I can get of this video. So if you enjoyed this, or if you want to save this, by all means feel free to use your thumb to thumbs up. Share it with your friends on Facebook, Twitter, wherever you post, your blog. You're welcome to embed this video on your blog if you'd like. I'll be more than happy for you to share with others. And as always, if you have any questions for me, please leave me a comment. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and I will do my best to post in advance when I'm going to do the next Ustream, so those of you who are able to can join me live. Thanks for watching, everyone.